Okay, there he is. Finally. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can absolutely
Loud and
fine.
clear. Excellent. Hello,
Good,
guys. So, how's it going today?
good. How are you, sir?
Ah, locked down and having fun.
Fantastic. You look healthier than the news would have expected. How was
What can I say? It's been a
quarantining
good
and
time.
all of isolation for 14 days and beyond?
It's been interesting. I think it's been a very interesting period. We've been learning a lot, doing everything that we can to make an impact, even when we are locked down. So that's what it's all about. Learn something new every day. What have you been up
Well,
to?
I've been working from home. I mean, just like most people are able to. Um, Quite a number of meetings on Zoom. Zoom suddenly became the big thing overnight. I mean, it was very interesting to see, now Zoom networks rise by, is it $2 billion or thereabout? So I mean, it's just interesting times we find ourselves in, and we just hope that soon enough there's a vaccine found, or there's just a way found around this right now. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
so
interesting.
yeah, so what that tells you essentially is that even in times like this, there are people who are making money, and even at times like this, opportunities exist. So, are we able to see the opportunities, find them, take advantage of them? What's the mindset at this period in time? So, I guess that's exactly why we're here.
Yeah, but that's interesting. But I'm going to need to take you up on a few things you just said, because I'm not sure what it was, but maybe it was yesterday or the day before. I was reading in the news where I saw Primark um, reporting that they've lost, I don't know, maybe 650 something million pounds or 65. I'm not very sure of the figure right now. I don't want to give a wrong one. Apparently, because Primark doesn't have an online store where people can go to shop and buy stuff. And because there's been a lockdown, I mean, in the UK and all of these locations that they're in, they are unable to make sales. So it's like a bad time for them. So, in your opinion, what would you say as a billionaire would be the right way to prepare for such times like this? Because I mean, crisis would definitely always happen at some point in time. Right now, we have like a medical crisis, almost tending towards an economic crisis because it is ravaging the economy. Crude oils cannot even, I mean, the ones that have been produced cannot be sold because. So, I mean, just don't. So, before I'm just confused you. So, what do you think is the right thing to do in times like this to make sure that when situations like this arise, um, you are not on the backside of life, and then going forward as well, what to do during this period, and most importantly, what to do after this period.
Okay, you've asked a lot of questions in in one sentence, but every one of them is important. So the first thing that you need to be concerned about is what your mindset is in a crisis. When you have a period like this, right, the way you approach it is extremely important. So the first thing that you must realize, first of all, is that people are going to hurt. They are going to hurt badly at this time. So there are businesses that are going to fold up. There are some types of businesses that are not going to be able to survive through this period. But at the same time, there are those that will survive.
Hmm.
Now, the question is that in every single time that there has been a crisis through life, have people come out of it and survived? And the answer is yes. And so one of the things that you have to do is always understand that no matter how bad it is today, you can make it better tomorrow. And that is the key. Now, for everyone who has ever started a business, any type of business, you already know from going into that business, you already know at the back of your mind that that business can survive or it can fail. Now, if failure in itself, right, is something that you know that cannot stop you, that you can try, you can fall, but you can try again, then it already puts you in the right mindset that regardless of what this crisis is doing, you can get up, you can stand up, and you can move again. Now, I'd like to concentrate on things that are local rather than things that are international, but let's take Primark, for example. Even if Primark collapses today, Those who are the founders of Primark, with the right mindset, can set up a business again tomorrow. It may take them 5 years, it may take them 10 years, but they understand what it means to make the fundamentals of creating a business. We all make mistakes, but as long as you know the fundamentals of making and doing a business, you will get up and you will rise again. So you should never be afraid of crisis. Yeah, it can worry you, it can take away your capital, but it definitely will make you stand again.
Wow, fantastic. So what you're saying now is that the odds or the inconveniences that people are complaining about is definitely bound to happen in times like this.
Well, yes. So let's put it in different buckets. Okay. Right now we have a scenario like never before, where the entire world is locked down. The international trade is not moving, so you can't import, you can't export. So you've never had a situation like this, at least here in Nigeria, for our generation, for your generation, and all of that. This is a first in a lifetime thing. Now, when you find situations like this, then almost immediately it tells you that new things have to happen. You have to think differently. You have to prepare differently. Whatever you are seeing in this period has never happened before. Now, the beautiful thing about when you are in a scenario that has never happened before is that you have the ability to rewrite your business plan. You have the ability to rewrite anything that you want to do because it's not happened before. So it's your mindset. What are you now bringing that people have not seen that you can now bring out that will now change the dynamics? Now, when everybody else is still thinking about yesterday's business, you should be thinking about tomorrow's business. You should be thinking about, you have this new canvas. You have something that is totally different, a global economy that has shut down. What are you going to do that is different, that will bring you out stronger tomorrow? And again, it's the mindset. How and what are you thinking about in this period of time?
Okay. I'm sorry to interject you. I like this line of thought. But again, if we're going to bring it home, we find that the environment that we're in right now, forgive me, hasn't done too much in shaping the right mindset in people. Because, it's often said that if you know better, you will do better. So people that are products of, like an environment that hasn't quite worked so well, how are they able to then do better? Because right now you even hear of all sorts of situations going on. Some people in Lagos are robbing all over the place. Some people in some even remote areas still don't believe that this virus is real and all of that. So, and then you find yourself surrounded by such people. How are you able to, navigate such waters and crossroads?
Okay, excellent. So you have different buckets of people. There are some people that they would never, ever be able to see an opportunity in a crisis. Never. No matter what you do, as far as they're concerned, all they're interested in is to collect from people. So there are those people. You can't do much about them and all of that. However, there are others who, even now, as things are happening, and I'll give you a very simple, typical example. Now, you have a lot of people who are going out and they're doing, just take it, feeding, for example. So what they're doing now is that in all of this crisis, they've seen an opportunity to go out and feed people. Okay? So that's a very simple, basic thing. You cook, you feed, you cook, you feed. Now, some other people are taking that same idea and now looking at it and saying that, can I create a logistics business out of this? Okay? All of a sudden, can I begin now that I have created an opportunity that cooks and goes and delivers food to people who are hungry in different areas? I am setting up something that is logistics, point-to-point service. And now what they're looking at almost immediately is that post-COVID, now that I've already started doing this, if logistics is working in this COVID period, then it means it will work in the post-COVID period. But what is your mind telling you? Is your mind saying to you that, you know what, let me use this opportunity that I'm taking to distribute food to different locations. Can I use that as a basis to set up a business for logistics that will last through COVID? Totally different mindset. So there's a group of people who are there who all they're doing is just collecting. And there's another group that is looking at it and saying that let us distribute. And yet another group that is saying that let us create a business out of this. And that is where the mindset is different.
Well, I mean, this is interesting, and I appreciate it. But TC, sir, I would like to just state certain things. So now there's VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous societies. If you look at such factors where the absolute control of things are not certainly within your reach. I mean, like at the beginning of the year, we saw what happened in Lagos State, the regulation on bikes and tricycles, and and all of that. So imagine someone that has already invested in that line of business, and with the sudden regulation that from a particular time, these businesses will not be able to operate anymore. With such crisis, how are they then able to, build what I call transgenerational wealth that can live beyond them?
Awesome example. And so Lagos came up and they banned motorcycles, right? No problem.
Yes.
Now, when they banned motorcycles, anybody who had invested in that business at that time would have said that what a waste of time and all of that. A few months later, they shut down. Nobody can move around. The only thing that can move around right now are motorcycles. The only thing that can move around now are motorcycles going and doing delivery, left, right, and center, delivery of food and all of that. So the same business that a few weeks ago seemed as if it was doomed, all of a sudden you translate that business and it becomes an exciting opportunity. You see, the one thing that I will continue harping on is that crisis will come. You cannot stop it. You are going, if you are in business, if you're an entrepreneur, whatever you are, politics, wherever, you must expect that there will be hiccups, there will be crisis, there will be a problem. But at the same time, your mind should tell you that regardless of what it is, tomorrow always has an opportunity. You can open up another door with the same business. So using that same business that you talked about, in that same uncertainty, one door closed. A few minutes later, something else opened up for them.
Fantastic. So, I'm sorry. I just keep going back to back at you. I just want to make sure that we're not missing out any category of people. So let me just frame it this way. It is said that crisis situations are auspicious occasions for building transnational wealth. Now, realizing that we're speaking to not just self-employed people, but professionals that also work under organizations, maybe mid-level managers, entry-level, and whatnot. Are you able to give practical example, or maybe your own self, or maybe any other people that you know, that that it's easy to then bring it into context? Because some of these things sound more of being theories than what is actually happening in the real life scenario. Okay.
All right. I hope you are breaking up a bit, so I hope the channel is a bit clear on my end. You can hear me clearly, can you?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. All right. So as you know, and I know, right, I mentor a lot of young people. Okay, so we do one-on-one mentoring, some mentoring that are classes and all. And at the beginning of the crisis, I called a couple of them who are working for people. And I said, one thing that I'm going to assure you, one thing I'm going to advise you, is that in this particular crisis, I need your mindset to start thinking about post-crisis, how you get out. You are working for someone. So let me give you some tips. The first tip, while you are working now, while you're at home, pick up your phone and call people. Very simple message. Call your client list. Find out how they're doing. Don't talk business. Just find out how they're doing. That you are there to check them, to see how they're doing, and you keep a relationship with them going. Now, what does that do? All of a sudden, 3 weeks later, 5 weeks later, 8 weeks later, all they remember are those who checked up on them. What does that do for you as a mid-level staff in your organization? The clients that you have been relating with at this period when everybody is at home, right, is able to speak to your senior manager or your boss, that the person that they want to relate to is you. Now, let us imagine, which is one thing that everybody is afraid of. Imagine that you go into an economic downturn tomorrow. Imagine that. And your office is laying off people. I, as a CEO, who do you think I will keep? Will I keep the person who I know has been maintaining networks, or will I keep the person who was at home watching Netflix? Very, very simple. Again, it's a mindset about thinking about tomorrow. Who is in touch? What have you been doing? How have you been relating? People are at home today. Some of them, their businesses have shut down. They are locked down. They're in the house. They have not picked up their phone once to find out how their manager is doing. They've not sent a message at all. They have not reached them. Who do you think will be remembered? One of the things that I must advise to everybody who is in business or working, make sure you maintain your networks. And at a time like this is the absolute right time for you to deepen your networks, create your networks, and ensure that your network pays you back. It is not about calling them for business now. This is not the time. It's not the time to call and start harassing your clients for money. It's not the time. This is the time to ask them about how their children are doing. This is the time to just ask them that, are they okay? This is the time to ask them that, how are they feeling through the lockdown? The conversation does not have to go for more than 1 minute, but that 1 minute can save your job.
Wow. Fantastic. So relationships and people managing relationships at this time is very critical. Thank you so much. And that's also to say that is what has worked for you over time as well, right?
There's nothing I'm telling you that I don't do.
Fantastic. Now, talking about relationships, right? It is very interesting to have relationships, but I also believe in value, because it's one thing for you to have access to people. It's another thing for you to then be able to deliver value. So now there's a lot of talk about personal development strategy post-COVID-19 and the other side of the divide. So there's a lot of people who are advocating that emphasis should be on mental health and over and above efforts at personal development, because it's taking different tolls at different people. So like, where do you stand, or like, how does someone find a balance? What should young people be doing at this time? Speaking to varying set of people now, people that are out of school, people that are maybe just trying to even get into the labor market, like before everything turned out this way, they've not even gotten a job, and then people that are working but also still need to make sure that their place is secure after now, because again, some relationships are easily accessible. Like there's some people that you can call, you can send them a message at will, but what are people that are very relevant to you, but somehow, maybe unfortunately, you do not have access to them as you would wish to, so you're even not exactly able to reach out to them? What are just general winning strategies for times like this for younger people?
Okay, so certain things I will tell you. You talked about personal development and being out of school. All right, so that's me. I'm out of school right now. I'm sitting down. But even then, look, when coming into this crisis, I set out certain things for myself. One, that I was going to improve a lot more on my communication as far as social media is concerned. I'm on it. I have no idea how, I use it as I like, but there was a way to do it, and there's a communication channel to go through and certain demographics that you need to reach. And today, this is what we're doing. We're sitting down, and this is a lot of development for me. Just sitting down and having a conversation like this is personal development already. To some people, it's something they do naturally. It comes with them and all of that. To others, it's a step. And this is a step. You mentioned something a few minutes ago regarding Zoom, that you're now on Zoom meetings and all of that. I sit down here, right? and I coordinate different organizations and different things that are happening in different places in Port Harcourt and all of that, just by Zoom and getting people to do it. I found out that there's so much more efficiency. I don't have to get up to make things work. Even as we sit down here today, just sitting down, thinking through and saying that, how can we reach people out in the field? How can we reach people in different areas? We set up a whole logistics, going out and feeding families. As we said, I'm here in Lagos, but going out and feeding families in Port Harcourt every single week by gathering like-minded people from different areas and just reaching out, phone calls and sending out messages. This is what we want to do. Are you ready to do this? Can we come together so that we can do this? And so on and so forth. Networking, pulling your networks together, you bring them together and boom, they're doing something. You can do things, but if you fold your hands and say that you're not going to do anything, nobody can help you. You must be ready to do one thing or another, connect from one place to another. Now, you mentioned that, oh, some people are too far away, you cannot reach them. All right. There's something I've discovered in life, and I call it the 6 degrees of separation. There's a theory to it, which means that there is absolutely nobody in this world that you cannot meet within 6 people. Nobody. It doesn't matter who. Anybody you want to meet is 6 persons away. Wow. Now, what that means is that if you want to meet any president, any governor, any CEO, any manager, whatever, anybody, they are not far away. Already in this conversation that you and I are having, there are many people who have connected onto this conversation, right? And are 1 person away from meeting me just by this conversation. So anybody you want is less than 6 people away. But what is the difference? When you meet them, what do you say? You see, the opportunity that you get once you now come face to face with the person is what makes the difference. Too many times, by the minute you come face to face with the person you have been waiting for, what you ask for is not what you need. What you ask for cannot take you to where you want to go to. And we miss it too much. So when I look at my list of people that I want to meet, I know that this person is not far away. 1 phone call, 2 phone calls away, I can meet anybody in this world. But the question I ask myself is that, am I ready for that meeting? If I have that meeting today and I run into this person now, what I'm saying, is it going to leverage anything that I'm doing? If it's not, I hold it. I keep that relationship in my pocket. Because once you use that relationship and you have used that coin, it's hard to come back. It is hard to come back. So, for everybody who is here, always remember, the person that you want to meet is not far away. But before you go and meet that person, put in your mind exactly what you want and let it not be something that will disappoint both of you.
Wow, so many gems right there. I mean, I could not even keep up because I've been trying to take notes myself, and just so I can keep up. Just before we continue, please, for our audience, please feel free to put your questions down in the comment sections if you have other questions that are not being addressed, just so that we can maximize this moment with Mr. Tonye Cole this evening, and so that everybody can just have a wonderful time in the end of all of this. So, fantastic trajectory so far. One thing that has continued to reoccur in this conversation is talking about the mindset. Now, the mindset to an average person sounds a bit ambiguous because, I mean, some people don't even know what shapes their mindset. And of course, the subject of discourse anyway is the billionaire mindset in this period, right? So how would you say mindsets can be formed? Or better still, what are the best mindsets to approach in this time, and how can they remain unchanged regardless of whatever the external forces are? Because again, you find people that have had maybe believe in certain systems or just had expectations that were dashed over time, and as a result of that, they just had to, switch for possible alternatives. How do you remain unbended and still focused on getting the actual goal?
Okay, good question. So, life in itself, right, is a learning journey. Life, it's a learning journey. And if you think about your life, you know that the only way that you have improved in things is that you have started, you've fallen, you've gotten up, you've gotten better, you've fallen, you've gotten up, you've gotten better, you've fallen. And it doesn't matter how small, name it, whether it's learning how to ride a bicycle, learning how to run, whatever it is, that is what life is about. And believe me, it is exactly what continues in everything. Remember, I said to you that the first thing that you do, whether you're working in an organization or whether you're working in a business, is that you must always know that crisis will come. Now, when I talk about mindset, the first aspect that you know in life is something that the Bible says, sufficient is the trouble thereof of the day, of today. There would always be an issue. So if you are living in a world that says that nothing will happen, there will be no crisis, everything will continue going fine, there will never be any problem, then you are already living in the wrong mindset. The mindset that you have must say to you that there would always be a challenge. But you also say to yourself that regardless of the challenge that comes, that you will come out of it. Now, how do you come out of challenges that come? The first aspect, is that you must have a learning mindset. Whatever happens, you say to yourself that you must learn through those challenges. You must. This COVID-19 has been a total learning experience for me. Total learning experience. A totally different way of connecting, a totally different way of relationships, a totally different way of managing things, an even total different way of seeing businesses that I did not think before of now suddenly taking the limelight. For example, logistics, absolute beautiful business. Anybody who wants to go to logistics is the way forward. Now, you may want to be, DHL is probably the only airline themselves, and anyway, I'll use DHL. It's probably one of the only airlines still flying when every other airline has been grounded. Why? Because they are providing logistics and moving goods from one place to another. Now, you may not be a DHL today, but guess what? People are moving goods and people need to move goods in Nigeria. And I started off by telling you, right? I started off by telling you that people are moving food. Just somebody is sits down and says that, you know what? Let me feed 100 people on my street, or let me feed 100 people in my community. I cook here, I go and drop it there. That is logistics, first of all. Now you start taking that and now determining that, you know what, if I can do this and all, can I create a business out of this? You mentioned something which I nearly forgot when you talked about the Okada riders. A friend of mine saw Okadas leaving town when they banned them, and saw these people that were just getting up and they were going back to the north. And he just went up to them and asked them that, you know what, do you need to take your motorcycles with you? Let me buy the motorcycles. There and then, remember they had banned it.
Yeah.
There and then, he bought probably about over 20 motorcycles. Very, very cheap. Today, those motorcycles have become a logistics opportunity for him. What do you see? What is your mindset telling you? If what your mind is telling you in this time is that it is all over, that your life is over, your job is over, your business is over, there's very little anyone can tell you. If your mind is telling you that regardless of what this scenario is, that you will come out on top, you will learn, you will come out on top, believe me, you will. The last thing I will tell you, have no doubt whatsoever that this crisis has affected everybody, including those who were rich, those who were billionaires, everybody. There's nobody that has not lost something. Savings, some have been wiped out. Those who invested in stocks, those who invested in property, gone. So people have lost things. But you will see that the same people, and this is where the challenge is, the same people who have the right mindset, even though they've lost something in this thing, within 6 months of the crisis coming out, they're the same ones that will make it back. The same people who in this crisis have sat down, they've lost money, a lot of money, and believe me, a lot. I know people, they've lost a lot of money in this. Why? Because their business, their networks, they can't do whatever they're doing. Stocks went down, oil has gone down, whatever. So people have lost a lot of money. But their mindset tells them that this will not last. Tomorrow is going to be better. Opportunities will come out of all of this. And when the opportunity comes out, we will be ready. And then you will find out 6 months later, 1 year later, 2 years later, they are doing much better than they were doing before the crisis. And then everybody will be abusing them. Why? Mindset. So I'm telling everyone here, this will not last. Hold your mind. Begin to look for opportunities. It may mean that your business itself, whatever you are doing now, may no longer be the business of tomorrow. Guess what? It is okay. It's okay. Be true to yourself. Your business of today may not be the business of tomorrow. It's fine. But what you now do is you begin to think that what has survived through this crisis? What are people lacking through this crisis? What can we do and enter that can make a difference in this period? And be ready to do it. Be ready to do it.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and play this video even after now, just so I can catch up on many of the things you were saying, because I couldn't keep up just with the writings. But thank you very much, TC. One of the questions that I see that has reoccurred on the screen is, I think because of your background in the oil and gas industry, and right now with what is going on around town with the prices of crude oil and all of that, people are curious to know what is our government meant to do around things like this, and how do individuals, like the common man, position themselves also to make sure that despite these downturns or these disruptions, they are still on the advantageous side of everything.
Okay, all right. So first and foremost, right, oil prices are the lowest that they have ever been. And the one thing about any crisis, whether it's oil crisis, health crisis, economic crisis, whatever crisis, right, is that it forces people to think. So if you do not think, let's assume government now, if government does not sit down and begin to plan that how are we now going to switch our economy from oil to something else, then what is going to happen is that if oil prices continue to stay the way they are, then FAC is going to suffer. Governments are not going to get money. They are not going to be able to pay salaries. They cannot borrow money. Anything that you are looking for from government to do cannot be done. So that's on the one end. So for those who totally 100% rely that, oh, it's government should do this, government should do that. If government is not doing anything, then nothing will happen. Those people are already in trouble. Okay, that's the first aspect of it, because there's not going to be enough money to maintain all of that. But guess what? At the same time that oil no longer becomes an issue, when oil is at -$3, right now, zero, -3, understand what that means? It means that you are paying people to take your oil from you. You are not selling.
Absolutely.
Let me repeat that. Every oil that is coming out of the ground now, you are begging people that please can they take it from you. And when they say no, there's nowhere to go. As we speak right now, right, over 70% of all the tankers in the world are full. So there's nowhere that oil is going. So the first aspect of it is that for those who have only been waiting for oil money to come before they can move, start thinking differently. Start thinking differently. Now, why does that make me excited? I'm serious. Why does it excite me every single time that Nigeria cannot afford to use oil money to do anything? Why? Because all of a sudden, we start looking at different places. We have one of the most interesting and intellectual youth population. Whenever I engage with them, when it comes to IT and technology, they're there. We need to start dealing with issues around data collection and all of that. They are waiting. I've already mentioned logistics. They are waiting. Food chain management. Food. Today, people are sitting down. Everybody is hungry. If anybody asks you, if 2 or 3 people come to your page to ask you for something, one of them will be asking you for food. Do you know that 60% of food is wasting at the farm? 60%. In this period that we're here, India set up a system that ensured, they never knew they could do it, but they ensured through their system, and they found out that they were able to feed their nation in this period. India has more poor people than Nigeria. But they set up, you remember I kept going back to logistics. What did they do? They set up a system that ensured that the food from the farm gets to the hungry immediately. Why are we still in a situation now where 60% of fresh vegetable is still wasting? Why is it still? Meanwhile, we have young people who are sitting down here who know how to use SMS, who can set up a data app, who can find where farmers are. Yesterday, I got a picture from a farmer who had gone to purchase, a farmer who had gone to purchase food for distribution 3 days ago. The picture comes in showing a community that is extremely impoverished, because we are looking for communities that we can help. Now, if somebody can send me a picture of an impoverished community that I have never been to, does it not already tell you that there are ways that you can communicate where food is wasting? For goodness sake, we have people that can think, and all we need is somebody to just sit down in their own little locality, in their farm, in their village, or wherever they are, and just say, you know what, this 60% that is wasting, there's somebody somewhere else that it can get to. And all we're going to do is put the link, set up a structure. Guess what? The minute people, before you know what's happening, somebody will now start telling me that if you don't have money, you cannot set up structure and all of that. That where is the finance for all of this? Believe me, set up the structure, finance follows it. The idea that you have and the mindset that you have is what sells. And that is the point I'm trying to get to. When oil is zero, the most valuable thing that you have are your ideas. Remember also that I said that anybody you want to meet is 6 persons away. The idea that you have is 6 persons away. If you can sit down and think it through and pitch it right in today's market, you will find a buyer. You will find somebody. The main thing is that we don't want to think it through. We don't want to pitch it right. We don't want to ask for help to put the package together. And as a result of that, we expect that just by a phone call and sending an account number, that money will come.
But oh wow! But I mean, fantastic. I mean, I've even picked up business ideas from here already. I mean, you mentioned food chain management, logistics, and and a couple of them like that. But and it is very, very interesting to find that in Nigeria we have people like you that that have such bright and functioning mindset that is very progressive, and it is just very, very commendable. Now, but I know that you didn't arrive at this point by rocket science. What would you say has shaped you from, growing up to becoming this? Did you always see yourself, quote and unquote now, becoming a billionaire? And not just becoming a billionaire, but also remaining a billionaire. So like, how does the average person that maybe comes from a disadvantaged background, someone that maybe could only just stay in one room with his family, and maybe just had access to very, very limited education, but somehow, against all odds, was able to get to tertiary education. What would you call your own winning factors in life across board, that can work for everyone?
Okay. The beautiful thing about life is that all sorts of people can succeed. You've seen people who have had nothing at all. Nothing. They've come from the poorest background. They had nothing at all. And you've seen them become great people. Hard work, mindset, just working. You've seen that happen. You've seen people also who have had everything. They've had money, they've had everything. They came from the best background. You thought that as far as you are concerned, they will never ever suffer in their lives. And you have seen them totally fail, completely. So much so that they are now on the streets. What does that tell you? That there are certain principles that you must apply. And if you apply those principles, it does not matter whether you come from a poor background or you come from a rich background, those principles will help you. What are the principles? The first thing that you must always understand, first thing is that you must have a principle of humility. Have it. Humility attracts people to do things for you. Pride pushes people away. Have the principle of humility. Second, have the principle of learning. Those who have been able to do better always learn. What I have learned today in the last 3 hours from your colleagues, just looking at how to set all of these things up, I can never unlearn it. Nobody can take it away from me. Always have a principle of learning. What that does is that even in a crisis, your mind is automatically positioned to learn because you are looking at opportunities. So number 3, always look for the opportunities in everything. You may not be able to do all. In fact, you cannot do all. But guess what? When you learn and you see opportunities, you exchange the opportunities. What does an exchange of opportunity means? It means that once you see something and it makes sense, you hand it over to somebody else who can do it, give it. Guess what would happen? Somebody is going to pass back and give you an idea that only you can do. You see, the point is that there are certain principles. So reap, so reap, so reap. It says the man that holds together, there's the kind who holds everything. What happens to him? Do you understand? So what you must understand, even in all of this, is that your learning and all is so that you can give. What you give, you get. So 3. So 1, humility. 2, learn. 3, seek your opportunities. And 4, share.
Yeah.
Give out. Give it. So just give. Now, I have to say this. The biggest error that we make is that the only thing you can give is money. It is the biggest fallacy. You ask me in my life what I have seen. The biggest things that have come to me and the greatest ideas and the people that have impacted me the most have never given me 1 naira. They have never given me a naira. But what they have given to me, what they have shared in me, what they have put in me has helped me to make money. And I can start off by telling you about the teacher in my school. My primary school teacher, my primary school headmistress, never once collected 1 naira from me. What they put in me is what I'm still using till today. And that is the most basic of informations. But let's move on. The next thing that I have learned over time is relationships. Relationships is like a token that you have. Always see your relationships like gold coins that are in your pockets. You don't use it anyhow. If you throw them anyhow, you will waste them. The day you use it, you have to start building it again. So you keep your relationships well. Now somebody will come and ask you that, can you introduce me to somebody else? Can you take this? Can you do a letter for me? Can you talk to this person and all of that? What are they asking you for? They're asking you to give that gold coin out. It has taken you a while to build it. You now want to give it out. You are going to only give it to somebody that you know that they are not going to waste it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You give it to someone you know will not waste it, because for you to build that gold coin in your pocket, guess what it has cost you? You have sat down in this COVID time. You have picked up your phone. You have called people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have found out how they are.
Yeah.
You've checked on them. You've sent them something.
Yeah.
You have built a relationship. Some of those relationships have been over 10 years, over 15 years, some of them over 30 years. You've never demanded anything. The day you want to call on that relationship, it had better be worth it. But some people use their relationship because they don't value relationship the way as you value coins. They look at it like kalu paper. And so for them, relationship can be abused. Today they will abuse you. Tomorrow they will greet you. I just look at them, I say, well, they don't understand the value. Because if you understand the value, you will build it small, small. You will build it small, small. And the day you now call for it, people will know that you do not abuse your relationship. And you will find that when you call, they answer. But those who abuse relationship, I just say, well, one day they will learn. Your relationship is a gold coin. Hold it and use it well. The day you want to give out the relationship to help somebody, that person must be worth it.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Tonye. Apparently, we've spent about 50 minutes already, and it just looked like we just started. So, and of course, Instagram only does 1 hour. So please, our audience, if you have questions that you still like us to take, please kindly post them right now so that in the few minutes left before Instagram shuts us out, we can take it. And of course, please just being like Oliver Twist, we really need to do this again, because there is definitely so much again that we can still take away from conversations like this, just so that at the end of even this whole pandemic and everything, we can come out better and, you know, much more productive set of people. Fantastic. So we've spoken about principles, we've spoken about mindsets and all of that. Would you say that you are evolving, or you have, you know, just kept up to the plans that you've always had? Because at some point you were in business of oil and gas. I'm aware that you co-founded Sahara Energy, which has now grown to become a really big deal. There's a bit of you again that is faith-based, you know, and your affiliations with some Pentecostal churches. You have tried your hands on politics, and right now I heard you saying that you're out of school. So I'm wondering, like, are you lecturing? Are you going into the academic world or something? Because it just looks like you're a man of many parts, and I just wonder how you're able to manage everything and still come out effectively.
Okay, so essentially, as you move through life, right, you have to see mountains for what they are. Okay, mountains are there for you to climb. Mountains are there for you to be challenged by. Mountains are there for you to take possession of whatever you want to do. For many years, 24 years, 25 years, I was on the mountain of business. Okay, and I think to a large extent, I did what I can in business. There's nobody that can fault that from a business perspective we haven't done well. But outside that, there's a much bigger mountain. And that mountain in itself is a mountain of helping people, of making sure that more people's lives can be impacted. And there are two mountains you can do that with. There's a mountain that you can do it with, spiritual mountain, and there's a mountain that you can do it with government. Both of them are huge mountains that you can climb. Now, what does that mean? It means, in either case, it means that you must have a servant's mindset. You must have the mindset that what you are doing is there to serve and do and work for the good of as many people as possible. Now, I do that already as a minister. You know that already. So you know what we do when it comes to serving people. But that is not where my full calling is. I'm not called to be a full minister, start a church, become a pastor, carry the pulpit and all of that. I've known that for a while. But I understand what the principles of being a born-again, Pentecostal, Holy Spirit-filled Christian is. You can't take it away from me. It is part and parcel of who I am. But outside of that, the right principles, kingdom principles that start, it starts with how do you serve people? How do you make people better? How do you give them opportunities that they can rise? How can you go in and make policies that removes poverty from them? How can you ensure that they can excel? How can you stop taking from their mouth and ensure that it goes into their pocket? How can you ensure that that which they have in their head actually comes out and is created and becomes something that they can work? How can you stop them from begging such that they can be the ones that are giving? How can you do all of these things? And the only way you can do it is through the influence that comes from government. So you need to be able to go and influence government, influence policies and all of that, and that is a totally different mountain. So I've come down from the mountain of business, and now we are climbing the mountain of government. Now, we still have a long way to go to get to the top. Long way to go. And I am not worried at all, because what I know is that this is a journey for me that I've given the next 20 years of my life to. And we will focus on it step by step. And guess what? At the end of that challenge, all the things that was troubling Nigerians today will no longer be the case. That's what my challenge is. My challenge is to ensure that all of these things that we said, in 20 years' time, your children will never have to beg for food. They will never. What kind of nation are we as individuals? Anywhere you see a Nigerian as an individual is a great person. When you meet them anywhere, individually, they are great. Collectively, we have a problem. It shouldn't be. It just tells you that there's a system that needs to change. And that once you can allow that individual to begin to work in a corporate body, corporate together as a corporate entity, they can go further. Look, I know our time is up, so let me just say this one thing, right? I have found out all my life, and it doesn't matter. I found out all my life that anything that I do on my own, I never go far. Anything I have ever done on my own, it has never gone far. And so I have been an absolute believer in gathering people who have the like mind, like heart, like belief to work with me. And when I find those people, guess what? You may not see my hand, you may not know what I'm doing, but I can assure you, we do a lot. When you find like people, I can stay in the background, you may not see my face, it doesn't matter. What matters is that those that need, those who must change, they will be changed. So I'm not worried. Remember I said humility is what's important.
Yeah, it's critical.
Good. So can you make a difference? Go and make the difference. And that's it. You don't have to be the face every time. You don't have to come out and say, it's me, I'm the one, I did this, I did that. No, you don't. But God and you and the people who receive, they know.
Know that you're the one behind it. Fantastic and very, 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 very expository session it has been with you. I was hoping we'll be able to delve into other things, talk about the scourge of people wanting to leave Nigeria at the slightest opportunity, discuss family, discuss all of that. But of course, time has gone far beyond we could control. And we hope that soon, soon enough again, we're able to converge like this and have a very, very wonderful session with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tonye, for doing this. God bless you and God keep you going higher in Jesus' name. And
Amen.
to our fantastic audience and followers, thank you very much for staying with us. We hope you're able to pick a thing or two from this session. And I'm very sure the video also would be left on the page for a while so that you can go back to it. And just like I would do, right here is my notes. I missed out a couple of things, but please, so that we as young people, you heard Mr. Tonye is a billionaire already and is still going to school. This is right. This is school online. So this is online schooling. Let's make it count. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you.
God bless you. And thank you, everyone. They've been asking if we'll do it again. So it's up to you. Lalu,
Yeah,
Faith, all of
definitely.
you in the background.
We're definitely doing this again. Please make sure you're following Mr. Tonye across different social media platforms and look out for notifications around the next edition. And please make sure you tell someone to tell another person about what is happening here. Thank you very much. See you at the next one.
See you. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.